Congressman Matt Gaetz debates immigration, but unfortunately the hearing was about gun violence. Senator Kamala Harris and former Vice President Joe Biden generating the most excitement among California voters, and Elizabeth Warren claims Native American ancestry again.
Team Rising is here to answer all of the things that we just addressed there. Estuardo Rodriguez back in the House, a principal at the Rabin Group and a Democratic strategist, and Mica Mosbacher, former RNC Finance co-chair and member of the Trump 2020 Advisory Board.
I feel better already just
I know.
having these
It's all
going to
be okay with this too.
too.
Just tell me it's all going to be all right, guys. Explain how all the things are going to work out in the end. So
I'll warn you. I'm an NRA card-carrying member. I'm from Texas, and I'm packing back home. So don't mess with Texas today.
No one's going to mess with Mica Mosbacher.
Right.
That much I know for sure. But the warning is always appreciated.
Yes.
Let's start with our friend Matt Gaetz, notable Trump-supporting congressman. He's very, very much excited about the president, in line with the president, having a hearing about gun violence yesterday, and he decides to bring up the wall. Let's take a little bit of a listen.
Please don't demean or diminish the pain and suffering, the humanitarian consequences, the violence, the bloodshed that has occurred because we allow illegal aliens to come into our country, receive the veils of protection, benefit from policies of catch and release that my friends on the other side of the aisle have supported, and then come here and act like that is the great challenge of our day to deal with gun violence.
Okay, he went on from there. There were two Parkland fathers there who lost children in the Parkland shooting. One of them stood up to protest Gaetz's remarks about the border here, and Gaetz actually wanted to have him removed from the hearing. Was this appropriate? What do you make of this whole exchange?
Well, obviously that's a violation of the rules, in terms of standing up and protesting. However, I think that Matt Gaetz could have been much more sensitive with this topic. It is a hot button issue, especially those who've lost loved ones in the shootings. I have to say, because I belong to the NRA, obviously I'm against any infringement on the Second Amendment rights. However, there is a huge problem in our vetting system, just like there was a disconnect in 9/11 between the CIA and the FBI, for example. So the shooter, for example, in South Carolina, when he went through the NICS background check, they overlooked the fact that he had had a criminal offense, drug possession, for example. The shooter, Paddock, Las Vegas, he amassed over 47 guns. There again was a disconnect among states, and they failed to pick up that he was purchasing multiple guns. The Air Force, involving the Sutherland shooters individual as well, who was also mentally ill. Failed to disclose to the FBI that he had been court-martialed and had assaulted his wife and child. So there are areas where common sense enforcement or help, particularly with the FBI and the NICS system, which are overloaded with background checks. So common sense gun laws could help.
I didn't know we were going to get along so well this morning.
Reasonable to me, Estuardo.
When are you running?
So you guys are just leaving me to defend Gaetz.
Exactly.
Is that how this is supposed to go? Go ahead.
Well, because he needs some sensitivity training.
Seriously. I think this is just an opportunity for us to see that when some of these issues come up, be it the gun violence or other priorities for the Democratic Party, you're going to have Republicans who are going to remind Democrats that the wall is a real issue, especially before the 15th of this month. But that opportunity really was to show that Republicans have compassion, that the party understands that this is an important issue, and it's a failed and missed opportunity.
I agree with that. We do agree.
Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
Look at that. Sorry.
California. Let's go
Yes,
there.
we can get along.
We can.
I mean,
We should
sometimes
just wrap
we need
the segment
group
now
therapy.
and we end on a good note.
If I will say this
Bipartisan cooperation.
Look, absolutely. To our panel here, I would just say if I had to put money down on what I think would be the most sensible and most likely to win ticket, and be that as it may, I'm not somebody who pretends.
Give advice.
That's right. Harris and Biden, I think, would be the ticket for Democrats that's the most likely to actually succeed for them. That's what a lot of people seem to think. 58% of California Democrats surveyed were excited about a Harris candidacy, And Biden, what's the Biden number, Crystal?
It's
tied.
It's tied.
So these are the two. They're the top.
Tied.
They're the top
Okay.
of the pack. So we're expecting this big Royal Rumble. Here's the question of the panel: should it just? I mean, do we expect that it's going to be Harris and Biden, and this is where this is all heading?
Well, no, it's too early. I think it's great for us to see that the voters out there are very excited about specific leaders, especially Biden, especially with his legacy. Kamala Harris, also an amazing powerhouse herself. But there are, 10, 12 that have declared. We have another 10, 12 that may be coming pretty soon.
Yeah.
It's typical in this process that we're going to see a lot of energy, enthusiasm around some of these firebrands. But it's too early in the process, and I think we're going to see a lot of other folks
Especially
still
given
coming out.
everybody's going to kind of have their moment. Kamala just
Right.
announced she had a great rollout, I would say. Overall, mostly a couple of little missteps, but mostly a very
She
good
did.
rollout. But Mica, I want to get your thoughts as the opposition here. What do you think? Do you think that, as Buck said, that would be a strong ticket for Democrat? Would you be nervous about that ticket?
No, I wouldn't be nervous about it because Biden failed before when he ran for president.
Couple times.
A couple of times, actually. So, secondly, it does come down to who can raise money. And I have to look at Beto, for example. Fresh blood. Exciting. Raised a record amount of money in the Senate race. His turning Texas purple.
He's lost a little of his luster
his
here.
dental hygiene is now renowned
Exactly.
as well.
I know, but he's, taking a lesson out of Ocasio-Cortez's playbook,
I mean, I think
he's
it's-
appealing to millennials.
That's true. I do think it's interesting. He just did a big interview with Oprah,
Yes,
and
I
it
saw
got
that.
very little attention. I feel like the bloom is off the Beto rose.
I think he has an
a bit.
opportunity. He has an opportunity to excite a younger demo.
Exactly.
But as we all know, we get excited about the young demo. Do they always turn out to vote? Not always. And so whether or not he can come out and serve as an energizer and then perhaps endorse someone is still an option for him. I think he's going to hold on to a lot later. before he
Estuardo,
announces.
I think you are sometimes wrong, and yet I still respect
Sometimes.
your opinion on these things.
Sometimes.
Who is the most compelling Democrat ticket right now for you?
That's hard.
That is very hard because it's about the matching up of the different folks who have already announced, and I don't see outside of, I have to say I do agree with the California Kamala Biden right now is the most exciting, but outside of that I think people are still trying to find their base and get their message across, and we still have Elizabeth Warren coming up in a few days. And she's not going to announce it. It's not going to be a pretty
Elizabeth Warren?
announcement.
Elizabeth Warren, perfect transition. Thank you. She just threw the alley-oop
Florida's
to me
a
there.
pro. I
So,
knew that's where we were going
It's
next.
coming in a few days.
So, Mica, Elizabeth Warren identified herself as American Indian in her own handwriting on her 1986 registration card for the State Bar of Texas. This was reported in the Washington Post a couple of days ago. This is the latest one. I also saw today that she had said there may be more documentation that she was professionally. This is not like she was, hanging out with some ladies in a knitting circle somewhere and said, "Oh, I happen to have this ancestry." She was professionally advancing herself as a Native American. I think she's done. I mean, I've thought that for everything's the DNA
I
test.
think
but-
she's toast. It's better to be slapped with the truth than kissed with a lie. The problem is.
Unless you're the president.
I love the Texas stuff, by the way.
I know. As I said, in terms of her running for president, that dog won't hunt. There's
Yeah.
another Texas expression. The problem is that in this case, just like with Governor Northam, an apology is not enough. She should have had full disclosure at the beginning when she took that DNA test, which I think was really, she took Trump's bait on that one.
Yeah.
I think that at that point she should have said, you know what, I think I may have misidentified myself based on my family stories about my heritage.
Right.
Had she come out, had Governor Northam come out about his, blackface dance years ago, and full disclosure, we would not be having these discussions.
Rip
Yeah.
the Band-Aid off would have been the best
Yeah,
approach from
absolutely.
the start. I mean, we all
Well, and,
know
and the start was years ago.
Right.
Because
Right.
this has been
Exactly.
coming up since 2012.
Right. Well, and to Mica's point, her family history and the way she was raised, we don't know any of that. But either way, she should have ripped the Band-Aid off and just moved on because she still has she's a formidable foe for this president and for the Republican leadership. She's advancing real issues that help Americans. She wants to push back and make sure that there is health care for everyone and bring real solutions to the table. This is a total distraction, and her rollout, if anything, is not going to be a smooth rollout.
Isn't there something, though, to be said for this being offensive as well? I mean, let's say Elizabeth Warren had been passing herself off as African American all this time. Now, you might say that's impossible, but for different forms and different hiring initiatives, it wouldn't necessarily be impossible. It depends on whether or not they require a face-to-face interview.
Can I say, on this one in particular, I mean, there's nothing professionally to be gained from putting this on your Texas bar application.
Right.
There's no,
At Harvard Law School, it's
affirmative
substantial,
action.
though.
But, I mean, I know there are other areas,
true.
but I think that speaks, I believe that she actually believed this about her identity. I don't think it was malicious. I don't think she was trying to make this up. I just think she's handled it. I do think she's handled it in an offensive way. The DNA test was absolutely offensive.
No.
It's a bizarre thing. I think she's out, but we'll see. We'll see. What are you going to say?
No, I was just going to say I think identity is a real thing, and had she had a better advisor on this, I think she could have handled it a lot better, and especially with the aspirations that she has. She can't afford to make mistakes like this.
Well, especially in this climate with what's going on in Virginia.
We have
So that's another
segment.
Hot
Let's not
mess.
touch
We've already done a
Virginia.
couple of segments on that one.
As a Virginia voter,
Who resigns?
I'm saying-
Who resigns Virginia before we let you go?
I actually think that that Northam's playing more of the Republican.
Oh, come on!
playbook
That's
of
not.
he's
This
gonna
is
stay
a
put.
deflection,
I'm not. It's not
counselor.
deflection. I think that Lieutenant Governor has a harder shot, has a harder
I agree.
case. He may resign before Northam.
I think Northam and Herring stay and Fairfax goes. And I think Northam was going to have to go. Yeah, I think Northam was going to have to go until Herring comes. I think that changes the dynamic. But Fairfax, I mean, it's a very credible allegation of sexual assault. And that is a crime. It's a real thing. And it's not something that's acceptable in an elected official.
Although he is entitled to due process. So again,
Yes.
Well, but this
Conservatives
is not
believe so.
and that standard,
law, though.
that standard needs to be applied to
due
both
process. We
sides.
believe in it.
Sure, but this is not a trial. This is, do you have the trust of the public? And those are different things. It's not a legal standard. It's.
Right.
I don't know. It could be a legal
So you think
standard.
Fairfax should stay unless he can be found guilty of sexual assault?
Well,
even though
I
it's
think
credible
so. I
allegation?
think.
Then you're just going to have anybody who makes an allegation against anybody could get anybody to resign from their post in government.
The numbers are that it's very rare that women make these things up because it's a horrible experience for them. I mean, this is not something that someone wants to go and put themselves through.
No, but on the heels
wild.
of the Kavanaugh, hearing.
Well, and that's that.
that's
To
it.
that
We
point,
cannot have a double.
Open that can of worms,
Unfortunately,
but-
after we've just thrown that out there, we have to run into our break. Panel,
We love these two.
You're phenomenal as
Thank
always.
you,
Thank
Mica
you so much.
Mosbacher. Coming up on Rising, when Yuba Gretchen Shirley, a mom of two, lost her congressional campaign in November, she launched a new mission.
Vote Mama, a PAC dedicated to supporting mothers running for office with children under 18. She's going to tell us about what this new situation is when we come back.